Hello, everyone. This is Alex with Simplify Graphics, and I am one of the project managers here. And today, this video is going to be about how to set up the printing panels for a full wrap or partial wrap project. Before we get started, basically just want to talk a little bit about Simplify, our company here. We basically work with sign manufacturing companies, sign shops and vehicle wrap shops across the USA. So we work exclusively with companies in the sign industry, printing industry, such as vehicle wraps. So, if you want to learn more about us, you can just go to simplifygraphics.com. So, we're going to get started with this project. We're going to get started and we're going to open Illustrator um, program. And we basically, I have more than 15 years of experience, in the rap industry and science as well. And I think for this video, we're going to be using Illustrator just because I feel like Illustrator is one of the best programs, design softwares that we can use, to set up these files. And I think it's one of the best. Just because, in Illustrator, you can work directly with, vectors, high quality vectors, and for purposes of this video, we're going to be using Illustrator. Okay. You might want to, the process or steps here, they probably be the same if you use like a Flex Design or probably Photoshop, which I think Photoshop it will be a little bit different, but I believe that for Flex Design, in the case that you use that one, I think the steps will be the same. But for purposes of this video, we're gonna be using Illustrator. And I'm gonna try to go really slow so you can actually don't get lost, and we can just go from there. All right. So basically, we're gonna be for this. I'm gonna be showing you how to set up the printing panels for a Chevy pickup truck. Okay. So first of all, I actually I like to keep things organized. So I will do it this way. I will do it my way, so you can see how I do it. But at the end, you might probably have your own process of doing it, and your own process to organizing or naming the files. But I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna show you how I do it. And I suppose you have your own drive with your own company files, but I'm going to create a folder here on my desktop just so you can see the process from start to finish, and how to keep things organized. I think the more organized you are with your files and your clients or projects files, the better, just because you can keep record of everything. And if anything happens in the process of installing or printing, you can just come back and find the exact file that you need. So the more organized you are, the better. So I'm just gonna create a folder here. Let's say this is a brand new project, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new project. I'm gonna call this let's say the company name CLC Roofing, right? I'm gonna open the folder. um, and whenever I have, let's say we're gonna be doing a couple of vehicles for this company for CLC Roofing. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new folder, which is gonna be the vehicle name, which is it's gonna be a 2022 Chevy Silverado, and I'm gonna call this a diesel truck. All right. So I like to keep organized. my folders per vehicle just to keep it organized. And then I'm gonna open this folder, and this is very important because I think the better organized you have your files, the better. So I'm gonna create three folders, right? The first one is gonna be my design files. Second one is gonna be vehicle pictures, and the third one it's gonna be print files. Okay, so on the design files, I'm gonna have the actual source files, like the original files where I designed this project initially. So that might be like I'm talking about the original Illustrator or Photoshop file, like where you go and make your edits and change your text colors and all the stuff. In the case that you outsource your design, you can actually like in our case, whenever we get something approved, like we will send you the art files, so you can use them to set up your files. So in this case, if you outsource your designs for full wraps or partial wraps, you can you know uh, copy and paste your files into this folder. So this will be basically your original artwork design files. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy whatever files I receive from my designer, and I'm gonna bring them here. So this will be the actual design files. Now the print files folder, this is where we're gonna be saving all the panels, right, one by one. And this is where you're gonna come and bring the PDF files to your RIP software, for whatever machine or printer that you use. Then on the vehicle pictures, we basically gonna be having all the vehicle pictures, the truck picture, the actual truck pictures that you're gonna be wrapping, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and you can take your pictures with your iPhone or whatever phone you have. Just make sure they are high quality photos. I'm gonna bring the pictures that I take. Now, I want to talk about the vehicle pictures before we actually get started into the 5 steps to set up your files. Um, Basically, based on my personal experience, I like um, using the truck photos or vehicle pictures to set up the panels. Yes, because the actual picture of the truck, it actually tells you exactly the emblems, and it actually shows the actual curves and obstacles on the vehicle. So I kind of like this better just because I think doing it on the actual truck, it will be more efficient and faster way to doing it on the template. The template, it's good to have. If you don't have pictures and that's your last option, that's fine. But the template, it's flat. It won't show the actual, like, maybe colors or curves on the vehicle. So it's very important. So for this video and project, we're going to be using actual pictures, which is the preferred way for many wrap shops to set up these panels. um just make sure to get really good pictures of the truck. You should be getting these pictures, whenever you actually trying to sell this project. Whenever a customer comes to your shop, you just make sure you want to take really good pictures. Or you can also, many shops, they will take, they will have the client bring the truck to their shops, whenever they're ready to go ahead and pay the deposit, to go ahead and do the project. But at one point, either after the sale, or whenever they approve the design, you just got to make sure the client brings the actual truck, or vehicle to your shop, so you can take really good pictures. And by good pictures I mean, like really straight shots of your of the truck. You just want to make sure they're horizontal. You definitely don't want angled pictures, because they will not work for purposes of setting up the panels. So just make sure you have good pictures, side, rear pictures, uh, front pictures, so you can kind of know the details, or plastic stuff on, like, on the vehicle. So yeah, just take a bunch of pictures. You just make sure you get really good straight sides, front and back pictures of the truck, because this is definitely going to help you a lot and make things easier whenever you get started, um, do setting up these panels. So yeah, let's just make sure to have really good pictures, right? So we have these three folders. Okay, so once you have this, I'm going to show you the 5 steps in setting up the printing panels for uh, full wrap projects. So I'm going to go ahead and open Illustrator, right? The first thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be creating a new document. Just make sure it's 11, 11 by um, 8.5, horizontal CNYK color. This is very important. It should be, your file should be in CNYK. Height 300 ppi, and just make sure, and let's go ahead and create. All right, so here the first thing we definitely want to just make sure to open your ruler. Control R. So Control R will open this, and make sure, for purposes of this video and simplicity, we want to be working on in inches. So just make sure that it's in inches. So the first step, it's gonna be, we're gonna prepare our layers. Our layers is gonna help us, keep things organized whenever we start working on this, right? So we're gonna have our layers window here open. You can just also go to Windows and just click on layers or F7, and it's going to open this, right? So the first step is going to be prepare the layers. And basically we're going to be creating 3 different layers. First one is going to be the panels layers. We're going to create another one. Just click on the plus sign. The second one, it's going to be the artwork layer. And the third one, it's gonna be the pictures layer. And now let's make sure the panels layer is gonna be the first one. Okay, so just make sure the panels is the first layer, the artwork to be the second one, and the third one to be the pictures. You're gonna see why later in the video. So yeah, step one, prepare your layers. Let's create the panels, artwork, and pictures layers. Okay, so that will be the first step. The second step will be prepare the vehicle pictures and scale using the actual vehicle measurements. Okay, so we're gonna start bringing the truck pictures here, and we're gonna be doing this in a half scale. Okay, that way it will be easier to work here in Illustrator. Um, So I'm gonna look a really good side picture. This is a really good one. It's a really good picture. Now I'm gonna go ahead and clean up or remove whatever I don't need. Like, I don't need all this space around the truck. So I'm gonna crop the picture, the image here. I'm gonna crop this. I just want to, have a really good shot of this. Okay, so now that I have this picture here, I want to, give the actual measurements. So everything I do, it's in scale. So you should have, when working on this, by this point, you should have your measurements. So what many wrap shops do is, they will print the, truck pictures, and then they will go and measure the truck. Usually they get the measurements whenever the client, either when you sell the project or whenever the client approves the design. So at one point you will need to actual, to get the actual measurements of the vehicle. So right here, right in front of me, I have the truck pictures, like, just like the photos I showed you before, with the actual, measurements that I took, right? So the door, like this door right here, is going to have 46 inches. But for this video, we're going to be working at half scale, or 1.2. And basically, by half scale, it means that, if the door is 46 inches, I'm going to divide 46 divided by 2. And whatever it gives me, I'm going to make sure and give that measurement to the door, or make sure the picture actually fits that measurement. So this door right here, it's going to be 46 inches. Let's see, 46 inches divided by 2, it's going to be 23 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a 23 inches square here, which is gonna be my reference measurement. So I'm gonna go ahead and, so this square right here is gonna be 23 inches, right? Just wanna make sure that it fits exactly, and you gotta make sure whenever you make the picture big or smaller, you have to make sure it's proportional. You just gotta click on the corner so it's proportionally even out the image. Now the let's say the bed size, it's gonna be 83 inches. So 83 at half scale, it's gonna be 41 and a half. I'm just gonna go ahead and verify that dimension, 41 and a half. Okay, awesome. Yeah, it matches. And then the height of the bed is going to be 36 and a half. And that at half scale or divided by 2, it's going to be 18.25. 18.25. Okay, perfect. Um, then the door size, I just like to verify the dimensions, before moving forward with the next step. So the door height is going to be 57 inches. So at half scale or divided by 2, it's going to be 28 and a half. Okay, 28 and a half, which is a little bit, um, there's a little difference in there. So I'm going to go ahead and make my picture taller so it matches the dimension that I just gave on this square, which is 57 inches. At half scale, it's going to be 28 and a half. So I'm just going to make sure that door fits this reference measurement. And basically the fender, it's 45 inches. So at half scale, it's going to be 22 and a half. And yep, that's actually really good. All right, so I just verified, I just scale up the picture to actual match the vehicle measurements at half scale. Had working at half scale, it's it's better than actually working 1 to 1, just because you can have that all the images into one um, document. If we do like the actual size, like 1 to 1, the picture would be much bigger and would be out of my board right here. So I want to keep it this way, working at half scale. So now that I have this size, I'm just gonna go ahead and make copy of this, and I'm gonna go ahead and do uh, transform and then reflect. So I'm gonna use this same photo for my driver side um, artwork. Okay. All right. Now that we have the sides, driver and passenger side, we're gonna go ahead and do the tailgate. I'm gonna bring the best picture for my tailgate. I'm gonna go ahead and crop this image. I mean, I can even crop this. I don't need that tires or, but I'll leave it like this. So now the tailgate is gonna be 63 inches by 24 inches tall. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my reference size over here. So since we're working half scale, so the 63 divided by 2, that's gonna be 31 and a half. And then half scale of 24 will be 12 inches. Now this is going to be the actual tailgate size, and I'm just going to go ahead and make uh, that photo to fit the actual measurement of the tailgate. And just make sure you hold shift whenever you make this photo either bigger or smaller, just to make sure it's proportional. All right, awesome. So now we have our tailgate ready. Now let's go ahead and do our roof and hood. So, of course, I don't have a picture of the actual roof because it's going to be really hard to get an actual flat, aerial picture of the roof. So, in this case, since we know the roof is it's just, it's going to be in a square, we're going to use that. We're just going to use we're going to make, we're going to go ahead and make this. So, the roof is going to be 80 inches. The width, which is half scale, is going to be 40 inches, and then the width is going to be 49 inches. At half scale is going to be 24 and a half. So this will be my roof. And then the hood, it's going to be 69 inches. The width at half scale is going to be 34 and a half. The width is 34 and a half, and then the height it's going to be 48 inches, and at half scale that's going to be 24 inches. Okay, so this is the actual roof size, and this is the actual hood size. All right. Now, so this basically is it's been the step two. You bring the pictures, and you set up each part or each view of the vehicle, and just make sure whenever you import these images that all these is going to be inside your pictures layer. Okay, so if I turn this off, that everything's going to turn that off. Okay. All right, so we got our pictures, we have this to scale using the actual truck measurements. Now, our step three, it's going to be setting up or actually making that diagram of our panels. Okay, so this is going to be based on your printer size and the actual material size that you're using. For this video, we're gonna be using um, uh, 50. Let's say that you have it's gonna be for like a 54-inch printer. So I know there's like 48, 54, and like 64 size printers, and material size. If you have like a 54 um, inch machine, it's gonna be your material. I believe either 3M or Avery. It's probably gonna be like I think it's 52-inch rolls. Either 52, yeah, it's gonna be either 52 or 54. I don't recall the actual size of the rolls. But if you're gonna be using a 52-inch roll, and then your panels gonna be more than 50 inches. Okay, so for purposes of this video, our max panel size in width, it's going to be 50 inches. So whenever you print, it will fit your 54-inch machine. Now if you have a 64-inch machine, and you actual order 60-inch rolls and lamination, then you definitely going to have to use based on that. But for purposes of this video, and because almost everyone out there has a 54-inch machine, we're gonna keep in mind that our max width is gonna be 50 inches. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna the next step, it's gonna be basically setting up our panels. So the first step, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lock, just just make sure it has the lock icon in here. We're gonna lock our photos layer, and we're gonna click on the panels layer. Okay, now we're gonna start doing actually doing the panels, right? So before actually getting started, I actually like naming each side, so it's so visually I know which one it is. So this right here is going to be my driver side. Driver side right here. This is gonna be our passenger. And then this is gonna be our tailgate. I'm just trying to make this easier to understand for you guys. This is gonna be my roof. And this is going to be my hood. Okay, now so we're gonna start setting up the panels, right? I like using a pink color. Yes, because I think it's more visible when you actually bring the artwork. So I'm just gonna give it like a hot pink color. I'm gonna increase the width of the stroke so it's more visible. I'll probably give it like a 20. Okay. 15. Okay. So 15 point stroke. Okay, so let's say we're gonna start setting up these panels, right? So the first one, I like to get started with the doors. So in this case, I'm gonna, let's see, so my max it's gonna be 50 inches, right? Because our printer cannot print more than 50 inches, right? For in this case, for a 54-inch printer. So have so I'm just gotta make sure the panels are at half scale as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 25 inches, which is half or 50. So my first panel, it's gonna be this right here. Now, when setting up the panels, you want to make sure you give extra space on top and bottom. At minimum, I would say, just to be safe, at least 6 inches. I know some companies might do 3 inches, but based on my experience, because I'm actually I've been an installer as well. I know how to install this kind of stuff. So the more extra print you give to installer, the better. Because I know some companies will do 3 inches, but I think if you do either 6 to 8 inches, I think you will be safe and the installer will be happy as well, right? Because you just gotta keep in mind that like this on the top, he has to it's gonna have a contour, right? So he has to actually wrap around this top section right here. So yeah, so this panel right here is gonna be right now it's at 25 just because we're doing this at half scale. But when you actually print this, it's gonna be at a 50-inch panel, right? Now you just gotta you just definitely want to make sure that you give them some like extra space. Like if this is the actual size, right? So this is 30 inch. So this is a 30 inch, so 60-inch tall panel plus 6 inches on the top plus 6 inches in the bottom. It's going to be 72 inches. You can either do 5 or 6. That will be up to you. For purposes of this video, I'm going to give a 6 inch extra on top and bottom. So that's going to give me a 72-inch panel. At half scale, that's going to be 36 inches, right? So that's going to be uh, this is gonna be a 6 inch. If you think it's a little bit too much, you can just give a 5 inch, or you can also just visually, by looking at where the top and bottom is, you can actually by visually looking give some extra space, so the installer have extra material, right? You definitely want to make sure that the panel fits right here. I want to create a second one. Okay, so the second one, I'm gonna just copy this. Now you just want to make sure that this second panel, it's actually right, it's actually covering the door right here. um Now this overlap, you just don't have to worry about this, just because the installer is gonna make the cuts like right here on this edge, door edge right here. He's gonna be cutting it right here. And then so you just don't worry about this extra overlap over here, just because you just gotta make sure each panel covers the door from top to bottom. So all these overlap, the installer actually cuts this off. So you definitely not gonna have these lines or um, overlaps visible here, but it might be only on the top and bottom. So um, and this is actually doing the panels vertically. Some people may do like a big vertical panel, but this is the most common way of doing it, by working with vertical panels, right? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and create this panel right here. Now this panel is gonna cover the fender. So for this case, I want to, make sure I'm gonna make this all over here, and then I want to make this smaller, right? Because we definitely don't need this space right here. So just make sure this panel, it's the height, it's, under 50 inches. You can say right now we have 23 inches, and it's actually covering um, the full fender size right here. Okay, and just make sure you give extra space here, so your installer have extra material to, like, push or pull the material and wrap, that edge, because it goes all the way around, like maybe 4 inches. It has like a 4 inches curve all the way to the top. So we have these three. Now I'm going to set up my bed panel. I just make sure give like at least 3 inches here. You don't want to give like, you don't want to keep it even. You also, you always want to give some extra space. Now here in the back, just remember that the bed panel, this panel goes all the way to the back, like 6 inches. So you definitely want to make sure you give extra space, at least 6 inches. So for purposes of this video, I'm just gonna go ahead and visually, you know, give this much extra. So this is gonna be extra, but the installer is actually going to pull it all the way through the back. So just make sure it's at least 5 to 6 inches extra here for the back. Okay, and now for this is, just make sure you can just keep like, for bed, you can just keep like 3 inches, or just visually you can just, estimate and give some extra material in here. All right, so this is like 21 inches, which is in real size, it's gonna be 42 inches, and we're good. All right, so we have our driver size panels set up ready. Now the next step, I'm just going to copy this, right? I'm gonna mirror this, and I'm just going to make sure everything is in the right position here. Okay, so this one is actually covering this. Just make sure each panel, just double verify each panel is actually covering that vehicle doors and whatever you have in there. Okay, now I have these two set up. Now I'm gonna do my tailgate. For my tailgate, I'm gonna do the same. Just wanna make sure. So I'm just gonna make this panel, a little bit bigger. For tailgates, like 3 inches on the side is good enough. And then for top and bottom, for the top and bottom, you might want to give 4 to 5 inches extra space. I'm just doing it visually here, just because I already know, how much extra it's gonna give me here. So I just make sure, it has a little bit extra on top and bottom, and then on the sides, you can just be like 2 inches. All right, now I have sides and tailgate. Now I'm gonna do my roof. For the roof, as well, I'm just gonna make sure it has at least 4 or 5 inches around. Just make sure it's not over the 50-inch limit. So on this, I'm just gonna give 25 inch. I know some printers can print up to 52 inches. So if you can do 52 inches, you can definitely do 26. You can definitely give you that 52-inch, and at half scale that's going to be 26 inches. So you can just go ahead and do that, 52 in here, and then on the sides. This is gonna be where the windshield is, and this is where the bed is. So I'm just gonna make sure it has extra space on it, you know. Then for my hood, I will do the same. On the hood, I will just give 5 inch all around. Just make sure that we're safe. Just make sure it's not over your 52 limit, right? So this is gonna be our hood. All right, now the step um, 3 has been completed. We have our panels diagram. We have our panels ready. Now the next step it's going to be which is step 4. It's gonna be we have to open the artwork and bring the artwork here. Make sure you want to lock your panels layer and make sure your artwork layer it's selected. So now we're gonna go ahead and open all the artwork files that we got in our folder, the folder that we initially created, design panels. I'm gonna open all, and this is how we actually send our art files. Our art files will look something like this. Uh, so it's easier for you to open them and bring them to whenever you're setting up your panels. Usually they will have our it's gonna have the basic vehicle template on it in case you need it. But for purposes of this video, we're not gonna be needing this layer. We actually can use it, but I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so we're gonna get started, and we're gonna do the we're gonna start with the driver size, right? So we're gonna just let's we're gonna group this. So let's group it. Control G. Control. Now we're gonna copy. Control C, and we're going to bring this to our artwork. Now, before you move forward, always make sure to save. Keep saving the actual file, just because if anything happens, you don't have to start over. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this file. I'm gonna save this on my print files folder. I'm gonna name this the master file. So this is gonna be your master file where you have your panels and the artwork. In the case that you wanna, if anything happens, you can come back and do whatever you need to do, right? And just make sure it can be either PDF or Illustrator. I'm just gonna save this file as Illustrator file. Okay, so just gotta make sure you do that. You always save the file, the master file. All right, so now we just gotta match this to match our passenger. I like to keep some transparency on it. Just so I can see the picture. I'll do, let's see, I'll do 40. Okay, so just make sure that whenever just make sure that the artwork matches this, the actual vehicle picture. Just because this is actually gonna, what you see here, that's what you're actually gonna be printing, right? Okay, now let me bring this back to 100. We can now delete this. Just double click on it. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this layer. Now I'm just going to give this transparency. I'm going to do a 40% opacity. Now just make sure that everything is good, here, like on the actual picture, just make sure that, nothing, or like either the letters or, the, important stuff or characters not touching any door handles, just make sure that, there's, there's nothing crazy on the actual design, like this right here, like on here you can actually, like, if you see that this is, like, you see these letters are going to get trimmed off. You can actually just, let's move the artwork a little bit to the left, right, like this. Just make sure now letters are touching any edges or like lights, stuff like that, because it's going to get trimmed off. um let's see. Okay, good. If you need to move any letter, you can just double click on the artwork and then just move it around a little bit, and good. That's where we. Okay, so this is good to go. I'm gonna leave it like this for now. I'm gonna leave that transparency on it. Okay, now that we did this, I'm gonna just close this. Sometimes we will send the files like individually, or sometimes we will send the files into one single file. um you know uh it will be based on that track that we're doing. Now I'm gonna go ahead and group this as well. I'm gonna copy, I'm gonna bring this here. Just make sure this is in your artwork layer. Same thing, I'm gonna go ahead and give transparency 40%. I'm gonna make sure I match the layout, right? And okay, I'm gonna go ahead and delete the template layer. Now again, I'm just gonna make sure that there's no weird stuff in here, that my artwork is not touching, or text is not touching any edges or lights or door handles. So if you need to move some things around, you can always double click on it and just move some text, if you need to, if you have to. Okay, so we have our driver and passenger. I'm gonna go ahead and um, close this down, and I'm gonna do the tailgate. I'm gonna remove that. I'm going to bring this there. Control C, Control V. Let me get the 40% transparency on this thing. Okay. Okay, just make sure if you need to make it bigger or smaller, you can, but just make sure everything it's straight. Everything is straight, of course. The picture might not be 100% straight, but you just gotta make sure everything fits within the space of the tailgate. This is good to go. Now we're gonna be doing the roof. The roof, it's gonna be just one single color. It's not gonna have any text or graphics. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring it this way. And my hood, let's see, let me close this file right here. We don't need it anymore. Side back, tailgate, we don't need it. Now the hood, I'm gonna go ahead and bring the hood. Control G. I'm gonna group this. Control G and then Control C. And then I'm gonna paste it in here. Now let's see. So this is my extra space. Okay, so okay, I don't need this anymore. Perfect. Awesome. So we got this ready. Just make sure everything is within the limitations in there. Now at this point, you might want to print this. This would be like the diagram for your installer, because it's really good for the installer to know how you set this up, and this way he's going to be able to see what panels go where. He's going to see how much extra material you have given, and it will be a really good guide for him. So you can just go ahead and print this, right? Okay, so we have our step 4 completed, which was to we brought artwork. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and make this 100% opacity. So yeah, just make sure you have your artwork here. Just make sure that it fits the actual vehicle layout, and you don't have any text cutting off from the edges. At this step, you might also want to print a sample file, just so you can see the colors, and see if the blue color is, it's the really color that the actual client wants. At this step, you can print some samples before you actually start saving um, each panel. So you can check colors. Just make sure double check the spelling. And if you need to change like any color, you can do it at this step, so you don't have to resave all the panels, and, you find out that something is wrong. You will have to come back and resave panel by panel again. So just make sure that you can print a small sample. Just make sure to double check the colors. um, and if you need to make any changes in color, you can do it at this step. Okay, or you can also do it, at the end. But I will definitely recommend doing it before moving to the next step, which is saving the panels, right? So we have our panels ready, we have our artwork ready. Let's make sure everything it's at 100% opacity. We can turn the pictures layer off because we don't need that anymore. Now I'm gonna go ahead and create the artboards for each panel. So I'm gonna start from the driver side. So just make sure you just cover the actual panels that you just created. I'm gonna go ahead and create the second one. I'm gonna create one more. Okay, so we have created the artwork for the driver passenger side. Now we're going to create the one for the tailgate. You can just also control uh, select this, and if you actually uh, if you actual hold on one second here. Okay, never mind about that step. I'll just do this just to be safe. If you have a faster way of doing this step, like creating the actual board, our boards, you can just go ahead and do it your way. I'm just doing it this way. Just it's easier for me. But if you have a shortcut and to actually doing this step, you can go ahead and do it your way. All right. All right. Awesome. So we have not created the artboards for each panel, which is, that's what we're gonna be using for saving each file. And if you want, you can also name all of these, by name. So you can actually, like if you want to name it, you can do like this is the driver side. You can do D1, D1, D2, D3, D4, and then this right here is going to be the passenger side. So you can do P1. Oh, the next one we're going to do P2, P3, and P4. This is going to be, passenger 4, and then the next panel is going to be the tailgate. You can name this, like this. You just want to keep everything more organized or visible. You don't have to do this, but I'm just gonna do it. And then the last one is gonna be the hood, and the actual this is gonna be the roof. All right, so we got our panels ready to be saved. So before you start saving, just make sure you turn this off, turn the panels layers off, because if not, the pink lines is gonna show on your actual file. So I'm gonna start saving this. So you can skip this process if you don't want to see it, but I'm gonna start saving this. So go ahead and save as. We definitely want to save this as PDF, because PDF is it's much better when actually printing the panels. You can also do JPEG, but I would suggest doing PDF because it will look much better um, for a vector artwork. Now, if you have crazy pictures or effects or stuff like that on the artwork, I will definitely do JPEG. Because JPEG it's much better when you have like effects, gradients, you know images and all that crazy stuff. But if the artwork is most like a vector or illustration, I will definitely suggest doing PDF. So I will select PDF and I will do, D1. This is going to be PDF. Make sure you select your one um, panel here. If you do all in one, because every RIP software is different. I know you can probably save all these panels into one file, and then when I reopen it on your RIP or printer software, it might let you select each panel. But for purposes of this video, I'm just gonna save them, one by one. Um, just because sometimes if anything happens to a panel, I think it's easier to just come and get it individually. But it would all depend on your software. So you can do it the best way that it works for you. So this is gonna be our D1 panel PDF. Just make sure it has a panel one or artboard one selected. Save this. Save. Now we're gonna be doing our D2. So you will basically hear saving panel by panel. Okay, individually. Right. I'm just gonna do the um, driver side. Um, I'm not gonna do everything just so we don't make this this video too long. save. So you wanna do this for like every artboard or every panel. You just have to save them individually, or if you can save them all into one file, and your printer software will let you separate each one. Would be that would be great, but I'm not so sure about all this RIP software. But if not, you will have to save it one by one. Just make sure you label your printing panels, passing your one, two, and three, just in case you need to come back and print this if anything happens on the installation. You can also like you can also do like label these like driver side and do 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. So whenever you print this, and whenever you laminate and get these panels organized, you can actually mark like D1, D2, D3. So it's better for your installer. If you have all this label on the actual panels, when you roll them up or down, you can just write it down. So if he has a diagram with the numbers and the marks on each panel, it will be faster for him to identify each panel whenever he's installing it. So yeah, you just save each panel, right? Just name each file. All the files are gonna be here on my print files, right? They all gonna be here available for you to print. Or if you're on printing house, you can just send this to your actual printer uh, company. Okay, so this is basically we just this is how you set up your panels. This is one way to setting up your panels. I know there's probably many ways to do it, but I'm just showing you this way, and how to do it in Illustrator. I personally believe it's one of the easiest way. Like this process, whenever you have when you start doing it, you probably gonna have a better experience. You're gonna be faster, and it won't take you more than an hour to do it if everything is okay. So it should not take you more than an hour. If you're starting out, it might probably take you 2 hours. Also, you gotta keep in mind that you just make sure to print a sample, of one of the this the full artwork. Just make sure maybe to print like a 50-inch width sample, just so you can actually see the colors. I know many companies will print this, will call the client so they can stop by and look at the colors, just to make sure the customer is happy with the colors. So I'll definitely suggest you to do that if you want to. um, yeah, so just make sure to print some samples. If you have a different way of doing this, as really that's good for you. um yeah, just make sure that if you have an artwork that has pictures on it, or it has a lot of effects, I would suggest to either, whenever you save each panel, to save them as JPEG. Just make sure it has a 300 dpi. You can also rasterize this. So if you select this and then you go to object and then rasterize, you just want to make sure that this CMYK and 300 ppi and then white, and then just click OK on it. And basically it's gonna convert this into a image. So if you have issues with gradients or colors, this might be one of the ways of fixing that problem. It might be you might have heavier files, so it might take you longer, but it's a really good way. Like if I press Control Y, like you can see this is a vector and this is gonna be a JPEG or image. So but either way, it will be based on your printer. It will be based on the way you do things. So yeah, that's all for this video. So it took 5 steps. Step one, prepare the layers, panels, artwork, pictures, right? Step two, we have to prepare the vehicle pictures and scale the actual measurements using half scale. And then step three was setting up the panels based on your printer size. Then, for purposes of this video, we use a 50 to 52-inch panels max width. Step four, set up your artwork on the actual, in front of the vehicle pictures. And step five was, to start saving the panels. So I think if you do this in this order, it would definitely help a lot. You will definitely create a system, step by step, which is good for you or for anyone that you're gonna be training or gonna have doing this process for you. So this process should not take you more than an hour. Thank you so much, guys. It's a long. It's been, it's a probably gonna be a long video, but I just wanted to go slow, step by step. I didn't want to like kind of fast forward and step, and you're not gonna understand it. So, if you definitely want to fast forward a step, you can go ahead and do it. But yeah, thank you so much. And if you want me or want us to create a, setting up a video for a commercial van or a box truck, just let us know in the comments below. Basically for box trucks, it will be much faster just because it's a 1 inch overlap and it's just flat. But yeah, thank you so much. You can, if you want to contact us and know more about our design services for wrap shops, you can go to our website www.simplifygraphics.com or give us a call at 833-404-0792. Thank you and have a great day.